Hi everyone, welcome to this reading. I have my crystal ball off to the side, so I will be scrying throughout this message. If you're new to my channel, my readings are a little different, and if you're returning, welcome back. You know how we do. If it doesn't resonate with you, if you're forcing the story to fit or arguing with it in any way, just leave it behind for the people who it's meant for. So you'll notice that my comments are off. They're going to be off for a little while. I need to pull my energy away from the comments section, but I also have a proliferation of spammers and scammers rolling through, and so I can't in good conscience allow that to continue while I'm not moderating and cleaning out the comments to make sure that it's a safe and positive environment for everyone. So I decided after a long deliberation, I'm just going to turn the comments off. So we'll see if this works. We'll see if this gets them rolling on through. Maybe it will, maybe it won't, I don't know, but I do need to step away to be able to do some other things and to provide the best messages that I can. So let's go ahead. We're going to get started. I'm going to move this in front because I know some of you like to scry with me. Okay. And okay, taking a step aside. And allowing spirit to pass through me. Opening up to receive information. Okay. Seeing it's like an aperture that's open, and this is kind of interesting. There's two things that are happening. This is like as above so below stuff. There's an aperture that's opening, and as this aperture is opening, I see somebody who's waiting to step through. Meanwhile, there are other things stepping through. So for those of you who have a high degree of mediumship ability, you maybe have been seeing things a little bit more or experiencing things a little bit more. For those of you who dream a lot, you may have had like prophetic dreams, for example. For those of you who are very intuitive, your intuition might be rising at this time. There seems to be just this opening up energy inside of our consciousness, but also inside of our 3D. So the way that this applies into our 3D is that some of you are aware that you are about to enter a new phase. This is common this time of year, right? If you're watching this when I post it, it's the very tail end of 2024. Congratulations, we survived. And 2024 was the best year of my life. Partially because of this channel. It's been an amazing ride with you guys. We're not on the 1 year mark yet, but it's an amazing year. It's been an amazing year with you guys. But what I am seeing here is that there's this sort of, okay, so there's some sort of like spirit helper energy that's coming through. The spirit helper energy seems to be giving us little tidbits, little pieces of information that we have some sort of thing that we have to leave behind in order to actually pass through. This doesn't feel like something big and near and dear to us. This feels like our limitations. It feels like some of us are about to step through into a new phase, but we're bringing our limitations with us. And so what we're going to do is we're going to program that new phase to be limiting. So that's what this message seems to be about. So this is confirmation for somebody. If you have been seeing a lot of things saying, believe in yourself, dream bigger, be bigger, like step into a bigger energy, this is kind of confirmation for you that there are these limitations we've placed around ourselves that we don't necessarily need to take with us, right? We see this in all sorts of ways that we behave as people. It's very hard to remove the limitations. It's a very long and gradual process. If somebody rolls up and they're like, oh, you're going to win the lottery, buy a lottery ticket, what would you think? You'd probably think, oh yeah, right. Well, there's a limitation, right? Limitation simply means that we're not open to the possibilities of the extraordinary. Miracles happen to people all the time. They happen constantly. So why do we think so little of ourselves that we don't think that they can happen to us, right? In fact, when we have that belief, when we have those limitations, they're less likely to happen to us. And so this is just a message that's coming through for somebody that you can't take these limitations with you in the next phase and expect it to turn out a lot differently, right? It might turn out different, but you can't expect it to be something more. So interesting, very interesting. One of the things about this is that the release of this limitation really represents our evolution into allowing ourselves to be free, right? For some of you, that's been a big theme. releasing these like types of cycles that we've been stuck inside of, which really, in order to release those cycles, what we're talking about is a greater sense of freedom. We don't often understand as people how we're not allowing ourselves to remove ourselves from those cycles, because we do have the limiting beliefs, right? Those are all vibrations. Those are vibrations and energies that we're putting out there that we are attracting. It's an attraction point. If you need evidence of that, think about times in your life where you attracted really negative and toxic people into your life. Where were you vibrating when they came in? One thing that you'll notice is that they mirrored a way that you were already feeling about yourself back to you later on. So for example, you see this a lot with people who they go from relationship to relationship to relationship, and they wonder why their relationships are never very good. After they're done with one relationship, they didn't take the time to heal their heart space or their energy body from the feelings of abandonment or rejection or, you know, unworthiness or whatever feelings they may have had, right? Betrayal. And so they wind up getting into another relationship, and then that energy winds up making them feel the same way. Everything inside of our emotional body is a point of attraction. And so there's something here about our limitations. Beliefs have emotion behind them. And so these limiting beliefs that we're carrying with us into this next phase are going to attract limitation. So this is a message that someone's spirit helpers or guides or ancestors, what have you, that are appearing to me in the form of it's taking like a form of like this white wolf. That's just a symbol for me. That's one thing that they're trying to convey to this collective, is that you don't need those limitations anymore. You in fact deserve to be free of those things in order to allow yourself to grow and to expand and to experience new things in your life. Now, for some of you, there is an unwillingness. One of the limitations is an unwillingness to put the work behind particular practices. So what this is common. This is actually really common. The reason why it's common is because we think, oh, well, I am doing it, right? But we hop around between different practices hoping for an outcome. The thing about the spiritual world is that in order to break down the doors that we have between ourselves and the spiritual world, which they aren't really there, they don't actually exist. The doors are our neural pathways and our beliefs, right? In order to saturate the subconscious with the information that I'm trying to achieve this thing, whether it's contacting my spirit guides or I'm trying to astral project or what have you, it takes, just like any other muscle, it takes time and repetition. It's not a good idea to jump from one meditation to another meditation to another meditation. I always advise people stick with one and do it for like a month to 6 months and see what happens, right? Because what we're doing is we're programming our mind that this is what we're trying to do. If we're constantly feeding different methods to it, it never gets a chance to get good at anything or to utilize anything, right? And this is a result of us being in the type of society that we live in. Everything comes fast, everything comes easy, right? We want a boyfriend or a girlfriend. We don't go out, well, some of us do, but we don't necessarily go out and try to meet people. We just go online, and it's just all at the point of your fingertips, right? A buffet, a smorgasbord of humanity is at your fingertips. You want to find a new artist. You don't necessarily go down to the gallery and do the work to find a new artist that you like. You just go online and you sift through Instagram, for example. You want food. You don't even have to stand in a kitchen and cook it. You can order takeout, have it delivered, or go get fast food, right? Everything's very quick. We love convenience. The problem is you can't love convenience in your spirituality, because it's not how it works. You know, no matter, and this is the funny thing too, right? We like to complain about that. What do you think complaining is going to do? Do you think it's going to change? It's not going to change. Stop complaining. You have to learn how to do the work. You have to learn how to invest in it, right? Because by investing in it, you're investing in yourself. We have this strange idea sometimes, and this isn't everybody, right? But for some of us, we have this idea that the spiritual world is actually quite difficult. It's quite complicated. There's layers and layers of things, and we have to learn all the things. And this is one way that we really do ourselves a disservice, because the spiritual universe is extremely simple, right? You could view it as being I love how recently somebody left a comment. They called it the singularity, and I love that they called it the singularity, because that's exactly it. It's just this one thing. That's why it's one thing. You read esoteric material, they call it the one thing. You know, when we talk about each other, we say we're all one, right? So all these categories, all these systems, all these labels that we have, that's our overcomplication of things. We make the spiritual world so complicated and so far away and so hard to reach, and yet we want to treat it like fast food, right? It should be easy to get through this stuff and get the answers and get all these things. And there's a little bit of a problem between those two ideologies, and we should flip it, right? The spiritual world is exceptionally easy. It's not easy for us to unprogram ourselves. And so someone here, the work to release these limitations as you're about to step through this phase, you're being guided to sit down and maybe examine where you have some limitations. For example, if it's on a practical level that you know you're about to step through a new phase with this new year, maybe you have new business plans for yourself or new plans for your family, like we're going to buy a house or what have you. We're going to have 10 children this year or whatever it is. Someone give her a medal. If what you're planning on is something practical, just look at it. Like, where are there areas where maybe you've limited yourself, right? Have you placed a limitation on the amount of money that your business is going to make? Have you placed a limitation on the amount of success that you can achieve? Really focus instead, if you can, on the feeling state that you want to have by the end of the next year, or that you want to experience in this new phase of your life. Maybe it's about leaving behind some sort of pattern in your life and you're trying to attract a new pattern. Rather than focusing what that pattern should look like, focus on the feeling that you want to be in, right? Because again, our feelings contain beliefs in them. If we're able to muster the feeling, there's already a belief intrinsic in there. If we, change our beliefs and we change our feelings, we start to change our world. And so if you don't have experience with that, don't fight against that, right? If you have an experience where you tried it, but you still had those negative beliefs rolling around in there, in the little moments where you weren't paying attention, that's not really what we're talking about. We're talking about true beliefs, right? Getting in there and changing the core of our beliefs. And that's hard work. It takes time. But whoever this message is for, analyzing where those spaces may be as we move forward is going to be greatly beneficial to you. You may not be able to leave it all behind before you step through, but you can leave them behind along the way, right? And then you can trust that that new phase evolves as you evolve. I do see that there's like this bright optimism that's coming into this new phase for a lot of you. Some of you have left behind something really difficult in this last part of 2024. And I do feel for a small portion of you, you actually left it behind earlier in the year and you've spent all your healing from it. And I do feel like that's actually a physical thing, like something in the beginning of the year for some of you. But with this sort of moving on and leaving something behind, some of you have been inside of a transition state, and now you're just on that upswing, about to climb the next mountain, right? Climb that next, not hurdle. I feel like someone took that as a hurdle. It's not a hurdle. That new path, right? Mountains inside the tarot represent our spiritual climb. So it's the next thing that you're going to conquer. And for some of you, it's something a little bit different than what you've experienced before. And so it's very important as we move into territory that we haven't explored before, that we don't pre-place limitations, because we're used to trying to predict the negative outcomes, right? We try to predict our own limitations. Really, our limitations are a reflection of what we value and what we think that we're worth. And so allow yourself to value yourself more, allow yourself to find more worth inside of yourself, and open up those limitations for yourself as you move into the next phase. Now, I am seeing something here that looks very stripy that's taking place. So some of us, we still have some, okay, so this is very specific. Somebody here still has some, it's almost like a torn heart, right? A very wounded heart space still. And you're moving into this next phase, but it does feel more of like a negativity that's coming in with you. And so, if that's you and you feel like you have this really torn heart space and you feel like nobody understands where you are at, and then things just keep getting worse, my heart goes out to you, right? My heart goes out to you. This is not a phase. This is not an energy that you will be in forever, is something that is very clearly coming through for me right now. There's like this little light that I see on the bottom here, and I know that it's my candle reflecting, but I didn't even notice that light until just now as I started talking about that heart space. And so what that's telling me is that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and the energy that you're in currently is a natural process of the heart trying to heal itself, right? We go through the stages of grief. This is kind of similar to the energy of acceptance, where we may feel like we're lost to this grief. We may feel like, things are never going to be the same. And just, know that that is a part of the process. So with that, there is also this energy of, what is this? Okay, it looks like a boomerang. So for some of you at the tail end of this actually happened to me now that I'm thinking about it. At the tail end of 2024, there's something that comes back around, right? It kind of does a little pop surprise, and it will probably have happened anywhere. I think I did a collective message for my membership where I said that it was happening anywhere between the 23rd and the 27th. It might be anywhere, at the end of the year, but it feels like something pops up. This may be something from the past. It may be something that's almost like, hey, I'm going to test to see if you really mean what you mean. You know what I mean? I didn't mean to do that. And that's exactly what it is, right? Our subconscious is trying to say, oh, but hey, don't forget, we're doing this thing over here. You're the one that has to take control and say, no, we're not. No, we're not. We're going over here, right? Our subconscious is, always interplaying and dancing with us by the things that it calls in from the 3D, right? And, for those of you who are like really into psychology and stuff, please understand that that's not what we're ever talking about on this channel. I'm speaking about things from a purely like shamanic sort of standpoint, right? Those of us who practice shamanism, core shamanism, those of us who grew up in shamanic societies, these ideas of the spirits and the integration and the aspects of ourselves, these are ideas that we've always had. In fact, this is where Carl Jung got a lot of those ideas, is from shamanic societies. He was very fascinated by them. So that's really what we're talking about here. Our understanding of it is a little bit different than what's been brought into the Western like therapy modalities. But this is, this whole thing about our shadow and our subconscious, it is an attraction point. It is a very strong attraction point for our experiences. And so some of you, because you are trying to change something, it's that aspect of you, it's their attempt to say, hey, no, I don't want to change. I want things to stay the same. And, be gentle to yourself. If you find that something's popping back up and you're like, oh, what do I do about this? And you freak out, that's not a conducive energy, right? So try to have some grace and peace with yourself about it, and allow yourself to just say it's okay, and it's okay that I'm having these feelings about it that resemble the past, if that's the case, and just say, I understand that that's a feeling that's coming up, I honor it, but we're going to move in a different direction, and it's okay if we change, right? It's okay if my life changes, because really we're talking about the inner child is kind of afraid of that change, right? It feels unsafe with change. And so sometimes a method of self-soothing or giving self-love as we make these changes can actually help us attract new things and bring new things into our life, so that we don't have this reactionary experience where now things are popping up that resemble the past. So I just want to say that for some of you, because I know some of you have done the work and you're still experiencing the same thing. This can sometimes be why. So just remember that our reality is just like us, right? It's hard for us to change. It's hard for our reality to change as well. And we can always bring it back into the self and pour a little bit more love into those spaces so that our self feels comfortable allowing the reality to be different. So I'm going to leave this here. If this resonated for you, please hit that like button. Feel free to, oh, you can't leave a comment. Haha, fooled you. Feel free to click on another video. But yeah, feel free to leave a like, and feel free to pray with me that the scammers and spammers move on, because it's a lot. It's a lot to deal with. And it's so funny because it's always the same thing. They just change the name of the author. like we're fooled at this point by, oh yeah, this book by so-and-so. What an amazing person who has like 50 different names by now. It's just funny. But anyway, I will see you guys next time. I hope you guys have a good close to your year. I probably won't even record another video or post until after the 1st. We'll see. We'll see what happens. So yeah, until next time.